He had $214 in his bank account. His truck needed a new alternator. And somewhere between Tuesday's lunch break and Thursday's stack of overdue bills, he became a billionaire. Not from a lottery ticket, not from an app, not from some viral moment on the internet, from a letter, a single certified letter, and a secret his family had buried for 43 years. My name is Marcus Webb, and what happened to me should not have been possible. What was in that letter, and why had no one told Marcus about it for over 4 decades? Before we go any further, if this story is already pulling you in, hit that like button right now. Subscribe so you never miss a story like this one, and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Now, let's go all the way back to where this really starts. Harlan County, Ohio. Population 2,100, 1 stoplight, 1 gas station, 1 diner that closed on Sundays. This was Marcus Webb's whole world. He'd been a mechanic for 22 years, learned the trade from his uncle, took over the shop when his uncle's knees gave out, married his high school sweetheart, Denise, had a daughter named Lily, 16 years old, sharp as a tack, and already talking about college. On paper, Marcus had everything he needed, but the math never added up. The shop charged fair prices, maybe too fair. Radiator flush, $40. Transmission service, $150. In a town where people drove 20-year-old cars because they had no choice, Marcus never had the heart to charge what the work was actually worth. He wasn't broke, but he was 1 bad month away from it. Always. So how does a man who can't afford his own truck's alternator end up worth more than most Fortune 500 executives? The answer starts not with Marcus himself, but with a man he barely knew. A man who died quietly on a 3,400-acre cattle ranch in eastern Montana. A man named Earl Webb, Marcus's grandfather. Earl Webb was what people in the West called a quiet accumulator. He didn't brag, he didn't advertise, he just worked. And over 60 years of hard, deliberate work, he built something extraordinary. The ranch, over 3,000 acres of prime Montana grazing land, had been in the Webb family since 1947. But Earl didn't stop at cattle. In the 1970s, geologists discovered something beneath his property that changed everything. Mineral rights. Oil and natural gas deposits sitting directly beneath Earl Webb's land. While other ranchers sold those rights for quick cash, Earl held on. He waited. And then, very quietly, he negotiated a lease deal with an energy company that would pay his estate royalties every single quarter for as long as the wells produced. Most men would have celebrated. Earl just went back to work. So where did Marcus's father fit in? And why was Marcus, the rightful heir, completely in the dark? Here's where the story gets dark. Marcus's father, Ray Webb, left the ranch at 19. He and Earl had a falling out so severe over what no one alive can say for certain that Ray moved to Ohio, changed almost everything about his life, and told his children almost nothing about where they came from. When Ray died of a heart attack in 2009, he took most of those secrets with him.
Earl Webb died in 2021. He was 91 years old, and in his will, there was a trust fund, established in 1981, never touched, never claimed, left entirely to Marcus Webb, a grandson Earl had never met, but had never forgotten. Why had it taken 3 years from Earl's death in 2021 to that letter in Marcus's hand to find him? The certified letter came from a law firm in Billings, Montana. They'd spent 3 years tracking Marcus down. Ray Webb had left almost no paper trail, no family records. The search ran cold more than once. But an estate attorney named Patricia Holt never stopped looking. When Marcus finally called her back 3 days after receiving the letter because he was convinced it was a scam, she answered on the second ring, and she said 12 words that Marcus has never forgotten. "Mr. Webb, your grandfather left you everything, and he waited his whole life to do it." The trust itself had been structured by Earl with methodical precision. It held the ranch, the mineral rights royalties, a portfolio of agricultural land across 3 states, and 43 years of compound growth because not a single dollar had ever been withdrawn. The total estate value, when assessed in the spring of 2024, came in at just under $1.2 billion. But inheriting that kind of money doesn't just change your life. Sometimes it tries to destroy it. Within 6 weeks of the news breaking, and news in a town of 2,100 travels at the speed of sound, Marcus Webb's life became unrecognizable. Cousins he had never met appeared at his door. 3 separate law firms called offering to manage the transition. A real estate conglomerate out of Dallas began quietly making inquiries about the Montana ranch. And on a Tuesday evening in June, someone left a handwritten note in his truck that read, "That land isn't yours. It was never supposed to be." Who left that note? And what dark history was buried beneath the surface of the Webb family fortune? It turned out there was another branch of the Webb family. Earl had a daughter from a first marriage, a woman named Sandra, now in her 60s, living in Arizona. Sandra believed the ranch and the estate should have gone to her. She had a lawyer, she had a narrative, and she had access to a Dallas-based land investment firm called Praxis Holdings, who had been circling Montana agricultural property for over a decade. Praxis didn't buy land with money alone. They bought it with pressure, legal delays, manufactured disputes, exhaustion. Their strategy was simple: make the heir so tired, so legally and emotionally beaten, that he accepts a buyout at a fraction of the true value. Would Marcus, a mechanic from a small Ohio town, be able to stand up to a billion-dollar land corporation and a contested estate claim? Marcus Webb made one decision early on that most people thought was reckless. He refused to sell. Every advisor, every suit that walked through his door, every well-meaning voice in his ear said the same thing: take the money, simplify your life, you didn't earn this. And every time, Marcus said the same thing back: my grandfather earned it, and he left it to me for a reason. I'm not selling the reason.
What Marcus discovered, once he began to understand what Earl had actually built, was that the estate wasn't just wealth. It was a living, breathing ecosystem. 300 head of cattle, long-term sustainable grazing contracts, a water rights portfolio covering 400 square miles, mineral royalty agreements that would pay out for another estimated 30 years, and 43 years of one man's quiet, disciplined belief that someday someone in his bloodline would come home to it. Earl never contacted Marcus's father, never tried to reconnect, so why leave everything to a grandson he never met? What did he know about Marcus that Marcus didn't even know about himself? Patricia Holt revealed something during a meeting in October 2024 that answered that question. Earl had hired a private investigator in 2006. He found Ray in Ohio. He found Marcus. He watched from a distance. He read about the repair shop. He saw a man who worked with his hands, charged people fairly, and stayed when leaving might have been easier. And he made his decision. The legal battle with Sandra Webb and Praxis Holdings lasted 11 months. It was brutal. It was expensive. There were days Marcus questioned everything. But Earl's trust had been built with extraordinary legal precision, a document constructed over decades by a man who had anticipated exactly this kind of fight. When the verdict finally came down, what did Marcus do with all of it? You will not believe the choice he made. Marcus Webb won the legal case in full. Sandra Webb received a financial settlement, a generous one. Marcus insisted on that. Praxis Holdings walked away with nothing. And on a clear November morning, Marcus Webb legally became one of the largest individual landowners in the state of Montana. So what did he do? He did not buy a yacht. He did not move to a city. He did not hire people to manage his life from a distance while he sat back and watched the money grow. Marcus hired Hector as ranch operations director. He brought in 2 agricultural scientists from Montana State University to study the land's long-term sustainability. He expanded the water rights portfolio, he renegotiated the mineral royalties upward, and he opened a trust fund of his own, one for the children of working ranching families across 3 counties. He named it after his father, Ray Webb, the man who ran away, the man Marcus had spent years trying to understand, the man he had finally decided to forgive. He sold the repair shop, but only to his longtime employee, Darnell, for $1. He said, "This town needs this place. Now it's yours." There's one last thing. The letter Earl left Marcus. Marcus has only ever shared what it said with one person until now. What did it say? Marcus finally shared what the letter said in a rare interview late in 2024. Earl Webb had written just 3 paragraphs in pencil, shaky handwriting, near the very end of his life. "I didn't know how to find my way back to your father. By the time I tried, too much road had passed. But I found you, and I watched you. You charge people fairly. You stay when it's hard. That's a Webb. That's mine. Don't let them take the land. It's not really the land I'm leaving you. It's the proof that someone in your blood built something that lasted. That's yours now. Go be worthy of it." Marcus Webb did not become a billionaire because he was born lucky. He became one because a quiet old man on 3,000 acres of Montana grassland, a man with regrets and a pencil, and a lawyer who was very, very good at her job, decided that one honest mechanic in a small Ohio town deserved to know where he came from. The land is still there. The cattle are still there. And so is Marcus. He told one interviewer, "I fix things for a living. Turns out the thing I was always supposed to fix was my family's story." If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe so you never miss a story like this. And drop a comment below. What would you do if you got that letter?